kids, this is teacher Vidya. My aim is to make you all to identify the changes of agriculture in villages during the post-Mauryan period. We mostly get agricultural products from villages, such as food items along with milk, wool and cotton. People in villages are mostly engaged in agriculture. Wood plow, traditional method of irrigation, Dagley, chain pump, moat, pulley system, and ragat, that is, lever system. These are all called traditional methods of irrigation. Iron plows are used in villages. Irrigation helps to grow agricultural crops, maintain landscape, distributes soils in dry areas, and during periods of less than average rainfall. Water pump, water canals, iron tools and agriculture. Iron use began around 3000 years ago. Three major inventions which helped to improve agriculture: axes for clearing forest, iron plowshare, new irrigational methods, canals, wells, tanks, and artificial lakes. Big landowners were called Gramapujaga in the north, Velalar in the south, or Tamil region. Kadeshiar in the south were those who did not own any land and worked on the lands of others. In the north, they were called Dasakaramakaras. Craft person, blacksmith, potter, carpenter, weaver, etc. Let's learn about the different features of the cities in the post Mauryan period. Cities have many different buildings and a variety of markets and goods, whereas villages mainly have farms. Madura was located on two important trade routes. Merchants and traders lived there. It was also known as the birthplace of Lord Krishna and for its many Krishna temples, Buddhist monasteries, and Jainastrins. Arikemedu was located near the coast. Archaeologists found pottery from the Mediterranean region, Roman glassware, lamps, and gems. Since these things were not made locally, they must have come through trade. How was Arikemedu different from Madura? Madura was an important religious center because of the presence of many temples, monasteries, and shrines. Arikemedu was a port city where goods were brought from different regions or lands by ships. The kings and officials ruled from the administrative center or capital city. Therefore, we can say that Mathura became an important city as it was a religious center, whereas Arikemedu was a port city. We still have those kinds of cities. For example, Chennai is a capital city. Tirupati is a religious city. Mumbai is an important port city. Let's learn about the life of people in villages and cities during the post Mauryan city period. Let's learn the story from Jataka's story, The Clever Man. Once upon a time, there lived a poor man in a city. and he had a dead rat to sell. He was clever and he sold the dead rat to a hotel for their cat in return for 1 coin. After some days, there was a storm that littered the king's garden with branches and leaves. The poor man offered to clean the garden, but only if the gardener allowed him to keep all the wood and leaves for himself. He gathered all the children who were playing nearby to collect the leaves and branches and promised them sweets for the work. Just then, the king potters were looking for fuel to burn to make pots, and therefore he bought the heaps of leaves and branches of the garden from the poor man in return for pots. He then thought of another plan and carried a pot full of water to the city gates, offering water to almost 500 grass cutters. The grass cutters were pleased and promised to help him when required. One day, a trader told the poor man that a horse dealer would come to the city with the 500 horses. Hearing this, the poor man went back to the grass cutters and asked them to give him 500 bundles of grass. He also requested the grass cutters not to sell their grass till he had sold all of his. When the grass dealer arrived, he needed grass for his horses and brought it from the poor man for 1,000 coins. Since then, the clever man was never poor again. According to the Arthasastra, widows, differently abled women, nuns, and retired women could be employed for spinning and weaving. Those women who were not allowed to come out of their houses had to send their maid servants over to get the raw materials. Men and women also worked in spinning and weaving. There were different modes of payment. People paid their money, and sometimes people followed the barter system where they exchanged their goods for other goods. Arthasastra mentions women who were not allowed to move out of their houses. Married women were not referred to as a working in spinning and weaving task, which suggests that not all women were allowed to work. This further suggests that might have been some difference between the lives of men and women. People in the cities were dependent on farmers for food and craft persons for other goods in their daily life. The merchants would leave the city where they lived to go to villages to exchange salt with farmers for paddy. Paddy was grown by farmers who mostly lived in these villages, whereas the merchants must have lived in a city as mentioned before. Farmers produced food for people living in the cities. They were able to produce surplus food because of the iron plows and irrigation facilities. Other than food, villages provided raw materials such as cotton and wool to the cities as well. Similarly, there were some products like salt which the merchants from the city exchanged for products from the villages, which is called as the barter system. People in the villages as well as in the cities organized themselves into srinis. Srinis were associations of craft persons that helped them with the training and raw materials. There were srenis of traders and merchants as well. These helped in selling and distributing the products in the markets. Craft persons who lived in the villages made iron tools and weapons which were sold in the markets of the cities. These weapons must have been used by the king's army too. We can thus say that villages and cities in the post Mauryan period were interdependent. Thank you so much, kids.